Hello, everyone. This is Will.
Whoa, boy. This is Alex.
Welcome back to another episode of They Mostly Come Out at Night.
Mostly.
Well, you know what? I'm not scared to say it. Rudy Ray Moore is an absolute legend.
Is the man.
He is the absolute man. Wow. This is incredible. Like, this
movie's fucking nuts.
It's great.
It's fucking insane.
Holy shit. Like, if you, like, watch Dolomite and you're just like, wow, this is, like, kind of dumb and, like, everything, and then you're thinking, like, what if we took Dolomite and added a bunch of, like, people hopped up on PCP and, like, made it, like, a
disco movie.
A disco drug awareness movie. Well,
they did.
You know what you'd get? Disco Godfather.
They made it.
I would almost argue this is better than Dolomite because it's crazier and takes way more risks than Dolomite did.
I do think it's definitely more entertaining than Dolomite. It has less like obvious goofs than Dolomite, too.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong. Dolomite was directed by Rudy Ray Moore, wasn't it?
No.
Or is it directed by someone else?
Someone else.
Okay, because this wasn't directed by Rudy Ray Moore either. But
he hasn't. I don't think he directed any of his movies.
I think he has a producer credit.
Yeah. But yeah, they're all directed by different people. Because Dolomite had like a lot of like, there's a lot of boom mics, lots of like obvious kind of like.
Well, you could tell
errors.
It was a bunch of amateurs making a movie. This is like a little bit more produced, and it looks good. Like they knew how to set up the shots. You didn't see any of the boom mics.
No.
Like, nothing was there. And the special effects, I'm pretty impressed. I have to admit, like, the special effects, like, the fight scenes aren't the greatest, of course, because you're watching a Rudy Ray Moore film.
And,
but
it's just a chubby dude fighting, and it's great.
Well, yeah, and, like, they do the thing again where it's, like, the fight scenes are, like, where they, like, almost had the people fighting, you know how they sometimes have people fight in slow-mo and then speed up the shot? But they forgot to speed up the shot. So it's just Rudy Ray Moore punching in slow motion, and then they forgot to speed up the shot to make it look cool.
I'm pretty sure that's just how Rudy Ray Moore punches.
It is. But, like, I love in these movies, in Rudy Ray Moore movies, it almost adds to the whole, like, campiness of it.
Of what you're watching.
Because you can totally tell none of the punches are connecting.
No, that's
like, they're
the funniest
very
part.
Clearly not, and that's honestly, like, I would hate it in any other movie. But when you're watching these kind of movies, you're just like, you know what? It adds to it. It adds to the whole, like, just hilarity of the whole fucking thing. It's great. But on the other hand, legitimately, some of the stuff in this movie is really good. There's some really good stuff here.
There's some crazy shit.
There's some crazy shit, and honestly, this is pretty dark. I was not expecting them to go as dark as they did in some points, and like, my God, like, some of the imagery is actually, I never thought I'd say this, okay?
In a Rudy Ray Moore movie.
In a Rudy Ray Moore movie about people hopped up on PCP and him taking down drug lords. I never thought I'd say this, ever, but some of the imagery actually creeped me out.
It's creepy.
Some of it was pretty creepy, and not like the creepiest thing you've ever seen, but like some of it was really well done. Especially since they didn't have to go that ham.
No, they really didn't.
But they did. My God, they did. They were like, PCP is bad, and we're going to show people how bad it is.
We're going to show you all of it.
Before RoboCop, there was the Disco Godfather, okay? Taking down drug lords. Only one drug lord in this one, though.
Only one.
But I don't know, like, this is legitimately, like, a really decent movie.
This is great. I mean, listen.
As far as, like, just, like, it's hilarious. It's not as bad as you think, but it's still bad enough that you can kind of, like, laugh at some of the more, like,
there's
quote-unquote serious scenes, because they're not that serious. But then it does get kind of, like, dark at times, so you're just, like, you stop laughing, and you're just like, holy shit, they actually went there. Like, damn, okay. All right, like, calm down, like, calm down, movie. Like, holy shit, we're watching like a 70s blaxploitation. You don't need to hit me with that, like, that fucking spooky shit. But yeah, no, like, really good shit here. So we'll
This
we'll
is good shit.
We'll break it down for you, but it's fucking great.
This is great.
If you like Rudy Ray Moore, if you like Dolomite, you owe it to yourself to go watch this fucking movie.
You should
I'm
know.
telling you right now, before we get into it, if you don't want
If you
spoilers,
like these things.
if you like these things and don't want spoilers, because like honestly, you need to see this with fresh eyes. Like, don't let us explain it to you. Go fucking watch Disco
Experience
Godfather.
this shit.
Go experience it before you listen to this review.
Yep.
If you're into Rudy Ray Moore and you liked Dolomite, you owe it to yourself to fucking watch this movie. Go to Prime now, type in Disco Godfather, and have a blast, and then come back and listen to the rest of this review. Okay?
It's only an hour and a half.
It's only an hour and a half, then you can come back, listen to this review, because it'll be here forever.
Forever, yeah.
But we will get it. Now we'll get into it. So that's your warning. If you like this kind of shit,
You need to watch this.
you need to watch it before you listen to this review. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so Disco Godfather. Let's get into it. So credits, obviously, just a normal credit scene. It's like a disco ball.
Set to a disco.
Because it's all disco shit, which is, thematic. So then we get the actual disco. It's called, the Blueberry Hill?
Blueberry Hill.
Blueberry Hill Disco.
And we get like a 10-minute long scene of a disco
So
and
it's
all
like-
these people dancing, and then eventually our man, Rudy Ray Moore, starts dancing
His
too.
name is, they only call him by Tucker in this,
but everyone just refers to him
as the Disco Godfather.
And then after he dances a little, he goes up and DJs, and he does his usual shtick where he says everything he says has to rhyme and all this stuff, and it's great. And then there's these people at the disco who are just kind of sitting down, not dancing. And there's one guy who's just I don't know, I just don't feel like dancing. And then his girlfriend convinces him to go dancing, and then they go dance, and eventually they leave.
And so they're doing drugs in the car, and
His friend is.
his friend is doing drugs in a car, and this is the dude that didn't want to dance at first.
Yeah.
And his girlfriend runs after him, and they have a long, awkwardly long kiss, where
Very
the guy
long.
literally thinks the scene is ending because he opens his eyes, but then closes them again when he realizes the scene isn't ending.
They're still supposed to be making out.
So then he's gonna go to the car, and she's like, "No, don't don't smoke."
What would your uncle say?
Yeah, why are you doing this to yourself? Of course, in the first 20 minutes, we have to push this. Drugs are bad, kids. Okay, drugs are really bad.
Message.
Especially PCP. There's lots of messages in this movie.
And they're what would your uncle say? And because we
He's
know.
well, I don't care. I can handle it. This kid is the cousin to the Disco Godfather, and he's trying to be a basketball star.
A pro basketball player.
Yeah. So he has the what do they call it? I can't remember what they call it when they're going to judge the skills of the
A free
players.
agent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he wants to impress people with his basketball skills to become a pro basketball player. So he's going to go do drugs, and he says, no, I can handle it, blah, blah, blah.
I'm an adult.
All this stuff happens. And then we get a scene of her running into the disco.
And screaming for Disco Godfather, Bucky's, in trouble.
And he's like, what? Okay, take over here. And then, so he runs out.
But she mentions, he did this and that, and he's just and he says a very iconic line, if you've seen the film Black Dynamite. Because Rudy Ray Moore literally says, "Where is Bucky and what has he had?"
Yes.
That's one of the first things he says. Where is Bucky and what has he had? She's like, "Angel dust." And they run out, and then eventually Bucky comes back in the club and is tripping out.
He's tripping balls. But then
He's pretending to play invisible fucking basketball.
we get our first bad PCP trip, because this is the pushers of this PCP are making it with these really harsh chemicals, and they don't care what's going into it, but they're just making shit tons of money off of it. And it's giving all these people horrific hallucinations.
Insane hallucinations, yeah.
Yeah, so he starts seeing this. It's a common theme in this. You start seeing not Angel of Death, but I think it is.
I'm pretty sure that's what
It's a demon.
she's
but
listed as that in the
the
credits.
Angel of Death.
Yeah.
like because it's angel dust. It's like the angel of death, but it's actually kind of creepy because it's like this person that's like kind of loosely like clothed and like has like a really pale face and like
with like this like
fangs.
crazy like makeup,
and it has like this really like far out wig that's all like fucking feathered out and like looks all like disjointed and shit like that. It's actually pretty well done, I will admit, for like this kind of movie.
Yeah.
Like an unknown like
movie that no one watched.
Cult classic, I guess you would call it. But
he starts also seeing
like other basketball players, like he's in the basketball tournament and he's like shoving them out of the way, but they start like having like red eyes and shit.
Another thing is all the scenes where they're like in the trip, it's like almost completely pitch black. And you just have like,
except for like a harsh light
on
just
the
coming
person,
on the person that's in the frame.
So it's very stylistic.
It's very surrealistic,
Yeah.
and it like you can I like it because you can.
There's a lot of style to it.
There's style to it, and you can obviously tell this is like a trip. Like this is like what they're experiencing.
It's not the real world.
Yeah, without explaining it, they just show it. Like this is like literally what they're seeing in their mind. So he's battling against all these demonic basketball players. They all have like red eyes and they're all running at him. But it's all like the people at the disco trying to help him.
And eventually, they get the cops for him.
Yes.
And they like an ambulance shows up, takes him in, and there's like a doctor who's like, he runs a PCP clinic.
Yes, that's helping
people.
That's helping people like come down off of the PCP trip and like helping people like kind of rehabilitate themselves.
And it's like the next day. So Rudy Ray Moore is going to the clinic because he wants to like see what the deal is with this new drug.
Yes.
And they go into this like in this fucking room that just has like all these people going batshit insane.
Just wigging the fuck out. Like they're all screaming. One's on like the floor in the fetal position.
And he says that like he's pretending to be a caterpillar.
And then one's like gripping a baby doll and like jerking it. And
he like asks her, what's the deal with this one? And the doctor like tells her, well, on like one night for dinner when she was high, she like cooked her own baby and served it to the family. And it shows this in like that same like surrealistic like setup.
It's so weird because you see the family sitting. It's all that like harsh like light.
Where it's all
on the
black
family,
everywhere except for
and
the
then
table.
it shows her just opening like a platter, and you know that the whole family saw like a cooked baby on.
And they all
fucking
freak
platter.
out, and she starts laughing, and he basically says that like she told them that like the ham wouldn't stop crying, so she had to stick it in the oven, and it's like a 1-minute snippet. And I'm just like...
That implication is fucking horrifying.
Like, that was a dark thing
I did not expect that.
throw in there.
I did not expect them to throw that in there, but they did. Then they're just like, yeah, like, because they're, PCP's bad,
Yeah, drugs bad.
This is what happens.
And then we get, like, more hallucinations from Bucky, where he's still playing basketball, but he's, like, dribbling the ball, and all the basketball players, like, pull guns on him and just start shooting him.
And then, like, it's, like, animated squibs, and then the Angel of Death comes on and,
with a giant, like, machete.
Yeah, and starts swinging it around and, like, chops his arm off.
And we see, like, his arm stub falling down, and
then in real life, he freaks out because he thinks his arm is gone, but it's not, and they're, like, trying to help him, and, like,
he's still fucking wigging out.
Tucker's pissed off. Disco Godfather's pissed off, so
he's not happy.
He goes to the police station, and we figure out that he was actually a detective before.
Yes, convenient. And talking about how he wants to investigate PCP, and his, superior former boss tells him, yeah, you just have to do it, like, by the rules, and...
Yeah, like, he's like, you have the support of us, but you can't do anything
too crazy
off the book.
And after he leaves, I love it, because the cop just, like, looks to the side and starts, like, talking to nobody. And he's just like, when something really sets off Disco Godfather, there's no stopping him.
Yep.
He just says it, like, to nobody. And I love it, because you're just like, who's he talking to? And I'm like, to us. To the audience. They wanted to make it super Obvious.
So he goes back to the disco, and one of the women tells him, like, oh, like, he's like, I'm going to go call, like, the doctor. And the woman's like, well, they're still setting up the phones. And he's like, what do you mean they're setting up the phones?
I didn't ask for any, like...
I didn't ask for anyone to set up the
Well,
phones.
no, they're fixing it.
Yeah.
They're fixing the phones, and he's like, I didn't tell anybody about, like, fixing the phones.
I think he, like, at that point realizes what's going on. So he goes in there, and he, like, yells at them and shoves one of them.
It's an immediate fight.
There's an action scene. They actually, like, get the upper hand and, like, run away.
Well, my favorite part of the action scene is he kicks one of them with, like, a back kick, and then the other guy comes at him, and he punches him once. Disco Godfather punches him once.
There's blood all over this
and it's
guy's
like a
face.
fucking tomato explodes on his face, and the guy's like, you're gonna kill me. But one of them knocks him out. They run away, and she's just like, what happened? And he's like, they know already.
He's like, I gotta figure out who's doing this.
It's same day.
Yes.
It's like the same fucking day, and someone's already attacking him.
Yep. So now we get our big bad Stinger. His name is Stinger Ray.
Yeah.
So he's like a local celebrity, and they're doing an interview because he's trying to put together this basketball team, and he's saying like how he recruits like players that weren't drafted, and he's getting a team together, and he's trying to like support that. Like,
but he's trying to put on the air that he's a legitimate businessman to everybody,
right, and that he helps like down on their luck athletes basically.
But some guy like comes up to him and is like, hey, like this is a serious phone call, and he's like, I don't care. And then he tells him who it is, and he leaves. And it's someone saying like, yeah, like the phone guys, they couldn't do it.
They fucked up.
They got into a fight. And we don't see like who the person is on the phone talking to him, but you know, if you use your brain to assume that it's probably one of the cops.
Yep.
Because who the fuck else would know same day?
So then we get him going to the lab.
The lab.
And
which I love the lab.
It's literally just a shit ton of chemicals.
I love.
They're like dipping cigars into fucking like bleach.
That's my favorite.
Like
my favorite is the fucking guy just taking cigarettes and dipping them into like green liquid. And then like there's a guy with like a giant jug of like it just has like one of those like danger chemical signs on it.
I love it because like how else do you show that this is a toxic?
This is bad.
This is toxic. Except for like the main bad guy and his henchmen are coughing continuously throughout the scene. Like,
yeah,
fake coughing.
When he's investigating, all of his henchmen are like, because
it's lots of bad chemicals.
It's bad shit.
This is what they're putting into the kids, and they're pushing on the streets.
And how they're killing the youth. It's great.
It's very heavy-handed, but it like all works. Like it all works actually pretty well. I'm not gonna lie. It still keeps your attention, and it's still very entertaining.
Well, here's the thing. I don't care. There's something about this level of like shamelessness and bluntness.
I kind of just like it. It's just awesome.
I will always love. I will always appreciate it.
So now we get a lot more disco. Like my
God.
Oh
yes.
A lot more disco.
Well, we also get the doctor is like talking with the family, and it's for one of like the patients, and they're saying like, well, what else can you do for her? And he's like, oh, I might do like, I think our only option is ECT, electroshock therapy.
Yeah,
which is like a very like last resort. So
like before you do that, let us pray for a few more days. And they like circle around her.
They start circling.
Now remember this because they continuously show it throughout the rest of the movie,
and it makes a big fucking appearance at the end.
Yeah, it does. It's a big impact.
But every time they're like doing the exorcism, and you just get like little flashes of that like angel of death.
Well, it's weird. You get angel of death, and then it's like when they're surrounding her, she gets like when she's on the trip. You see images of like they'll like kind of like show like some of the family members as like corpses.
Well, they're like staring down at her, and you get like these snippets, and it's like they're all dressed the same with the same hairstyle, but their faces are like, it's like a decaying skeleton.
It's actually pretty creepy imagery.
They keep it on screen for like maybe a second.
They don't keep it on long enough for you to realize like that's like just makeup and shit. it's like just enough that it creeps you out. Like, and that's like the best kind of horror where it's just implied. Like, you know exactly what it is, but you're not able to focus on it a
Mhm.
lot. So I think that was really
No,
well done. I liked that.
I fucking love it.
I liked that a lot. So they basically have an exorcism, and then we get a like a town meeting, where they're going to attack the whack.
Well, because
So their
the
whole
scene before this, there's a journalist who's like talking to who wants to interview Rudy Ray Moore's character, and he mentions to her like, I want you to put in your article that like I want to start like a town committee
yes,
against this thing because it's poisoning our youth,
And
and
they're
like I
gonna-
want to get everybody
they're gonna
involved.
call it attack the whack, and we even get like these, like I think they're like a religious group that's trying to. They're called the Angels Against Dust.
Yeah,
And so
and they basically take like signatures down, and like they get the whole
it's a
community
whole like big community thing that they're
involved
trying to like take down this
to
big
stop
like,
Angel
'cause
Dust.
drugs is a big problem. So now they have like a town meeting where they're saying attack the whack. It's this huge thing, and they're just like saying how they're gonna take it down. There's like the doctor that's saying that this problem needs to stop, and like there's like a support line you can call and all that.
to
It just-
report things. Yeah,
It's basically just, yeah, they're just trying to stop this whole thing. But now we get a scene where Stingray is mad because he's apparently, we don't see it a lot, but Tucker is apparently causing a lot of problems because they started this committee.
He's causing a lot of
he's
attention.
He's shaking down like some like local pushers because he's looking for who's selling this shit.
and the main bad guy Stingray ends up like calling some hitmen.
Well, he also, it's weird though, because he also at one point calls them off, and I can't remember, because he wants him dead, and then he doesn't want him dead, and then he wants him dead again. He kind of flip-flops a lot on that, but I think this is one of the scenes where he's like trying to say not to kill him, right? Because like, remember that's important for the hitman at the disco scene, which is the next scene.
So the main hitman, he does call them in, but I think it's kind of implied that like
But he says like to not kill.
yeah,
He says to make sure that they don't kill Tucker because he wants to deal with him himself.
yeah. Well, he wants them alive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we know what he's
We know
trying to do. Do to him at the end. So now we get the disco.
Another extended disco scene.
Disco Godfather's up there shaking his belly, just
His
like,
fucking
he's just all over
flabby
the place.
belly.
Listen, the sheer confidence exuding from this man is admirable.
Rudy Ray Moore gives no fucks.
I wish I had even an ounce of the energy and fucking confidence that Rudy Ray Moore exudes in this fucking movie, and I'd be set.
It's great, and like he's up there DJing, and then like these two guys show up. They start dancing, and eventually they take their guns out, and we get a fucking weird ass scene with like pauses where they like take their guns out, and then like his assistants like karate chop the guns out and
I
kick
think
them
it's
down.
supposed to be like, like it's like freeze frames because like at one point Tucker sees one of the like some cops barge
Because some
in.
cops walk in.
And so Rudy Ray Moore's character sees one of their badges and it says
143.
143, and like it's like stopping and like showing them stopping, and then they shoot the hitmen
When they're down,
and then
and then they leave.
then
They just leave.
and that scene's over. But
he's driving with his like
the lieutenant,
former boss,
yes,
his former cop boss, and he's driving, and he just says like, "I keep running it through my head, 143. Why 143? Why?
Why
Black Dynamite?
Why?
I'm just saying, if you haven't seen Black Dynamite, I don't know what you're doing with your life.
You should go see it. Maybe watch this and Dolomite first, and you'll get a lot more of the.
Because trust me,
jokes. It adds to the enjoyment of the film if you've watched a lot of blaxploitation films.
They know.
So we get a little scene of the cousin kind of like accepting that he had a problem, because we get the doctor coming in and he's like sitting up, and like the cousin's like, well, like it was, I was peer pressured and everything, but it was also my fault, and I know that, like, I shouldn't have done it, and like he's coming to grips with his like drug problem, and he's like, I just want to get out of here, and I want to like live a normal life, and I want to be like a basketball star again. And so he's like, he comes to grips. It's an important message.
And then we get a scene where Disco Godfather goes to visit a friend of his
at like a school,
and he's like, I don't know what you'd even call it. It's like
a school for like African studies. Like it seems. I mean, it
if
seems
you
that
know,
way. Like,
if you know,
cultural...
if you know anything about like 60s, 70s like politics, there's a lot of like kind of like African studies back to Africa movement going on.
Yes,
and that's what this guy basically is.
Yeah, so
he has like a billion posters of Africa
teaching kids about like African culture
and your own your own roots and all that.
Exactly.
And he just asked him like, do you know anything about angel dust? But before this, he also mentions that like he used to have an old dog,
and it ran away because Tucker. I love this scene because Tucker tries to call the dog, and
the guy's like, nah, the bitch left me.
The bitch left me. He's like, I'm sorry to hear that. And but it's important.
It will come in play later.
It will come in play. That there's a reason they said the dog ran away. It's not just like a throwaway line.
I also like that when he's asking like, what's PCP? He's like, that's like stuff that kids are smoking that's making them go insane. He's like, oh yeah, I can tell you all about it. And then the scene just ends.
Yep, they tell
no fucking time wasted.
I can tell you all about it, and then it like literally goes to a scene where they're shaking down just this random house.
It's like a party.
Yeah.
It just cuts to this party. And then, like, there's, like, some knock on the door, and then a guy busts in and kicks and beats up two guys, and then some guy runs downstairs, and, like, they're about to fight, and then Rudy Moore just walks in, and it just calms down.
Just ends, and then, like, they try and, like, say...
It's all these, like, fucking, like, criminals.
Well, and then we get the one friend of the cousin...
Sweetmeat.
And he comes out, and he's like, yeah, I did it, and blah, blah, blah. And he's all tripping out on PCP. And
that's a different scene.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. No, that's
right.
like...
Yeah, that's right.
That's when they actually, like, do a bust with the cops.
Yes,
in this scene,
right.
It's like all these criminals having a party. Because he talks to one of them, and he's like...
Oh, yeah, no, sorry.
Yeah.
I was mixing up scenes. Yes, you're right. It's all like the... It's
like the pimp council from Black Dynamite.
It's Sweetmeat. There's one called, like, Turtle or something.
Yeah.
And there's one, like, I can't remember what the other one's called, but it's, like, Wind or something. I can't remember what it is.
It's literally, like, all these pimps. Because he's telling them, like, if you deal with any of this, like, I'll know. And they're like, I deal with, like, the world's oldest profession. And, like, I've lost my own bitches to this shit.
Black Dynamite, I sell drugs to the community.
In this scene, to be fair, none of them do sell.
No.
They're just flat out like, no, like, I've lost a prostitute to this shit. I don't need this.
Well, yeah, they're like, I don't push PCP. This, like, even, like, it's kind of like a message of, like, PCP is so bad that even, like, normal fucking, like, pimps and, like, drug dealers don't fuck around with it.
I do love how this scene ends, though, because it made me lose my fucking shit. When they're like, cool, like, because if you do, I'll find out. And then he tells his assistant to, like, bring him the fucking... They have a fucking record of Saturday Night Fever with a fucking mountain of cocaine on it. And he brings it over, and Rudy Moore, like, pretends to sneeze. And the cocaine just blows everywhere.
And I love it because they leave, and all the fucking pimps and all the prostitutes get on the floor and start like, snorting it up.
I lost my goddamn mind.
Look at these low lives.
I couldn't fucking believe they did that.
And now we get a montage.
I love it.
We get a shakedown montage. They're going around trying to figure out who the hell is selling this PCP, like who's pushing it. So we get a bunch of scenes of like fucking Tucker's like assistant like shaking people down, then Tucker walking and like talking to people, and like they're like punching people, and like it's all this like... See, this is the kind of one that I usually would mind if it was like a movie where I wasn't enjoying it, because they do that thing where it's like just music and you can clearly tell they're talking but you can't hear any of the dialogue.
You don't need to, Will.
Normally, I would hate that, but it makes sense in the context of this film.
That's why montages are great, Will. Because
Yes.
you don't need that shit. You just need to see him smacking people around and walking with like a girl, and then seeing some dude like making a drug deal on the street, and then fucking walking up to him and slapping him around.
Yep, like who's doing this? Who's doing this? Like they do that dialogue where he's like, who's selling the PCP?
And the guy,
And he, like, slaps him
the
around.
guy's like, I don't know, and he smacks him,
And then they pull up to the school,
and he's got a
and
little dog,
He's got a dog with him, and he's like, "Here, you're gonna have a good home now."
and he just gives the dog to his
Again,
friend.
important. So now we get Stinger Ray's like house party. It's like this huge house party where he has all these like politicians and shit like that because he's trying to impress everyone.
And again, some guy's like, hey, like so and so is here for you.
When I love it because he goes to like a door, like a screen door,
And just
like,
stands there.
We see the other guy on the other side, and like Stinger Ray keeps looking around the party, just like, "Hey, what's up?" He's
While he's like explaining to the guy,
because he's trying to make it look like nonchalant, like they're not having like a serious meeting about like Tucker like fucking shit up. And he's like, "I want this Tucker problem taken care of.
I want you to deal with this.
Like I want you to deal with it personally."
Like you're getting to be a big sore on my ass. And we get a fucking quick scene where like Tucker and like all these cops like
Oh my god, the people playing cards.
they bust into this room with people playing cards because they think that there's going to be like drugs there.
I love it because these cops are busting in and like trying to like shake down all these people, but like the 4 people at the table are just still playing cards while all this is fucking happening.
Well, they bust down the door and one of the guys playing cards is just like, "What? Do you want in on this game?"
Yeah.
It's just like a guy and a grandma and 2 women playing cards, and they're just like, they don't find anything. Of course, before this, you kind of figure out that one of the cops is the like snitch.
So they don't find anything, but Rudy thinks that's really weird. Like he's like, "Why didn't we find anything there?" And then like
Someone told them.
I mean, yeah. So he suspects it's someone on the inside.
And then we get
and then we get Rudy waking up in his bed,
being like annoyed basically about angel dust.
Because he keeps thinking about angel dust and the badge 143. He's like, "Where do I know that number? Why are they selling to these kids?" Like kind of like that scene. And he wakes up in the like his like his girl tries to console him
by fucking him.
And like halfway through the sex scene,
There's a knock on the door.
And he's like, "I gotta check who it is. I'll be right back." And he opens the door, and it's the fucking dog,
like nailed
to the fucking door with its like
gut.
intestines falling out.
Yeah, it lasts like 2 seconds, but I was just like, again, this happens a lot in this movie where you go from like laughing to being like, "Oh, what the fuck?"
Like, holy shit, they actually did that? Fuck.
And then we get like, they go to the guy's house, like that teacher, and he's dead. Like he's just dead in the bed. And then he's talking to his like higher up, and he just tells him like it has to be like a cop. Like like there has to be someone who's a cop who knows about this, who's informing.
So now is that drug bust. So they go to a house because he's getting closer and closer to Stinger Ray, and they go to a house and they like they bust it down, and then the guy who made the cousin take PCP is there,
And he's tripping out.
and he's tripping balls on PCP.
And he just but Rudy Ramore keeps asking him like, who, like, are you working for somebody? And he mentions Stingray.
Yes.
And he's like, who's Stingray? And then eventually he, like, in the middle of his fucking trip, he blurts out that like Stingray basically paid me to do all this.
Yeah, to do all this. And so now Tucker
And then
knows
but the lieutenant or whoever is there, and he's like, yeah, like I know he is. He's like a big time businessman.
yes.
Supposedly legitimate. And this is also where Disco Godfather is like, I keep thinking about that badge 143.
He's like, it has to be something. There has to be something inside the department. He's like, I got it. We'll set up a sting. Like it's basically they're setting up.
They'll
a
set him up.
sting. So they call Gilroy, the detective that's obviously in on it,
and he tells him like, hey, we're gonna do that factory, or we're gonna do that like drug house bust today. And he's like, I thought it was tomorrow. He's like, no, like, it's today. Like, we'll pay you more. And then he calls the same phone, like, where they're from, to basically tell them, like, hey, like, you need to leave right away.
The days before caller ID.
I know.
When he wouldn't have realized it was the same fucking number that called him.
It was the same number. And they, of course, immediately know that, yeah, he's in on it.
Mm-hmm.
And he shows up. They fucking know.
And he's like, he looks all defeated, and he's like, how, like, what am I gonna do now? And like,
But my favorite thing is that, like, the scene ends
it's
with...
a weirdly edited, like, series of events that happens
It's
here.
so quick, because it's
so
like...
quick.
Rudy Ray Moore literally ends the scene by saying, like, how could you do this? And then the scene ends. And it's, like, the wife...
waking up to an alarm.
And then she goes to the bathroom, and and the fucking informant's in the bathroom, dead, blood everywhere. Like, he killed himself.
Yep. So now we get a scene of Stingray knowing that Tucker is after him. Like,
Yeah.
he knows, Tucker knows that he's after him.
Shit's going down.
Shit is going down.
Someone calls him and tells him, like, that's the guy committed suicide, and he's
Yeah.
like, well, what did he say? What did he tell them?
It's like, I don't know what he said. And then he's like, okay, have Cowboy go down and, like, apprehend Tucker.
Oh
So
my God.
the three guys are coming out of Blueberry Hill.
And a guy dressed as a cowboy
Comes up to Rudy and, like,
with
says,
a gun.
and the two other guys, like, go into the disco. He's like, lock it up. And so, like, he puts a bar in the door, and they start driving. And the two other guys, like, Tucker's friends,
They get in a car.
they start following him, and, like, Cowboy's like, you better, like, shake him off before I shoot you dead. And, like, you know, he like tells him to go.
And then he takes him like a fucking alleyway or something. And then he parks there and just takes out a whip and starts whipping him. And he says, this is how I get my nut off. I'm not joking.
He actually did that.
I'm not kidding. Like, I didn't mishear it. He literally says, this is how I get my nut off.
He keeps whipping him, and, like, eventually Tucker grabs the whip and slams him so hard against the fucking fence
That he explodes
blood on it. And, like, he falls on the ground, and, like, he tries to, like, punch Tucker again. But Tucker, like, puts his foot on his back.
And I guess
like,
breaks his
back, I guess, or neck. Like, he says something, but I can't remember what he said. And then, like, he breaks his fucking, like, neck or back or something.
Yeah.
Because you hear a crunch.
And then it's like him calling the main cop and the cop's like, no, we need to wait for a warrant. That'll be tomorrow. And then you get the impression that he just hangs up on him and he's gonna go.
Yeah.
And fucking fuck shit up.
Yes.
And my favorite part, though,
Oh my god.
is he goes there, right? And then it shows the factory.
Oh my god, I love how frantic this fucking scene is.
I love it because it's all like handheld and like super close up, but it just follows Stingray like running in there and being
love
like,
that they chose like to do that because like it makes it seem more frantic, but
well, it's
also
just
makes
fucking
it
hilarious
infinitely more hilarious.
because it's just chaos. It's just like following him in the factory. He just runs in there and there's all these Goombas like
Just like
dabbing cigarettes into green liquid, and then he's just like, we gotta dump everything, destroy everything.
And then they start like dumping everything into tubs and like throwing shit all over the place and just like
I know.
throwing these cigarettes in like plastic bins and like
There's like a guy in like a cold lab, and he's just like, leave it.
I love how then Stingray goes into his office and like starts with like a little fire in his like
with
his
his trash
waste
can
bin, and just starts like frantically throwing papers into it.
I love it as he's throwing papers in. He's like, I gotta destroy the evidence. I gotta destroy the evidence.
I gotta destroy everything. I gotta do it. It's like it's so frantic and hilarious. It's fucking it's gold. I love this scene.
And then Rudy Ray Moore pulls up to the factory, and like some guys like. Some henchman is like, oh, you're here, and then he leans in and like breaks his face, I guess, and then they get out, and then the fight ensues.
They start fighting, and then like some just random dude is walking by.
Some guy's like jogging, and he sees like them fight. He's like, what's going on? And Rudy Ray Moore's like, they're selling PCP. It's an angel dust factory. The guy's like, oh, and he's just fighting
like everyone. And then the big guy, the phone guy, comes out.
Oh my god. And I love it. There's like a little dirt pile, and he just stands on top of it with like his hands crossed, and
he goes
you
like,
know.
and like,
you know shit's going down.
He comes down, does all the punches from Tucker don't do anything.
And then they just like wrestle around, and the fucking random guy is just like quickly beating up like henchmen. They keep fighting, and eventually like he gouges his eyes out.
And he's like, "You take care of the guys out here. I'm gonna go in there and like take out Stingray."
And the guy's like, "Cool."
Yeah, just some random dude. Just, he's a really helpful dude.
He happened to know Kung Fu.
It's like the Sup Kim of the Dolomite universe.
It is the Sup Kim. It's just some guy.
It's just like, some Sup Kim, like they were deep cut there if you don't know what I'm talking about. But you know how Sup Kim was just like, yeah, I'll help you guys. I don't care. This guy was like, yeah, whatever.
Sup Kim had slightly more setup. Because they met him at the dojo.
He wasn't as random, but I loved because Sup Kim just like no questions asked, just helps them.
Sup Kim is the ultimate wingman, and this guy is the same thing. He's just like, I got you.
He's a G. He just he's like, yeah, I got it. So anyway,
we get this fucking scene where it's like these guys just like waiting by the door, and Dolomite busts in and beats the fuck out of them in like 5 seconds. It's the quickest.
But then we see her Stingray saying something about who? Oh, what's the big guy's name?
I don't fucking remember.
It was like some stupid name.
He had a meme name.
Yeah, it was like some like Punisher or something like that. I can't remember.
Some shit where it's like he's the big bad henchman.
Yes. He's like a super strong, gigantic henchman that can like crush people.
And eventually, like he starts fighting him. Disco Godfather starts fighting him, and the henchman is like, he's like an animal. He just he just stands there like an ape, like, and they fight, and it's just like one-sided as hell. And eventually,
he's not doing anything, and he grabs Disco Godfather and like kind of breaks his almost breaks his back because you hear a bunch of crunching. But then the cousin, we get a scene of the cousin
who's out of the hospital.
He gets out of the hospital and he's like, where did Disco Godfather go? And they're like, well, we went down to whatever.
He got snatched.
Yeah. And they're like, okay, we got to go help him. And he's like, I don't know if we should help him. And like these are his two friends, I guess. And he's like, no, we got to go help him. Like, get in the car, we're going.
And so the cousin and one of the workers or whoever, Disco Godfather's henchmen, show up and start kicking ass. And we get it cuts back to the fucking exorcism that's for all these days. Still going.
Yep.
And it's still the same insanity's going on. And then we get and then in the middle of the exorcism, we see Rudy Ray Moore is tied up
and he has
with a gas
mask on his face, and the big henchman comes in
and is laughing because they're basically making him take PCP.
Yes, they're mainlining it into his fucking system. And so,
and he's like, take this mask off.
He kicks the henchman in the balls so hard he falls over and then starts choking him.
With his legs.
And he's like, take this mask off me! Take this mask off! And then so the guy reaches up and takes the mask off and by sheer force,
Rudy Moore is so
Disco
strong.
Godfather rips the rope in half. And he gets up and he seems fine at first, right? And then he goes out and starts tripping his fucking balls off.
I love also that during the scene, we randomly find out, completely random, that the fucking main bad guy has a girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
And she just shows up and she's like, are you really selling PCP? And he's like, I don't got time for this.
I also love out of this scene, she goes out where the cousin and that guy are just fighting everyone.
And one of the bad guys
just punches her in the fucking face. And she gets knocked off screen and never seen again.
It's great. And then also the cops, two cops with guns show up. And I love that they bust in the first room. There's a guy knocked the fuck out and the cop just cuffs him just to be safe.
But now we get Rudy. And he's tripping balls because he keeps seeing the angel of death running at him. And then he sees his woman coming towards him, and then he starts seeing his mom. And then he sees his aunt that's apparently an alcoholic.
She has a giant giant bottle of whiskey or something.
He's like, I hate you, aunt. I hate my aunt. I hate her. And
then mommy.
We get this weird thing where the mom is walking towards him, and her stomach it's an animated thing, and her stomach opens up and a cobra comes out of it, and There's like this weird skeleton guy, a demon guy comes out of the corner. There's some crazy shit.
There's like also in this whole scene, it keeps intercutting to the exorcism too.
Yes.
And we get like a guy in like a fucking like a medieval executioner mask, but you just see like his mouth, and his mouth is like all rotted. Like there's so much crazy shit that they throw at you.
It's just like all these hallucinations. It's like someone clearly took PCP
To make this movie,
and just like had a horrific bad trip, and it was like I know how to freak people out.
I know what to do.
And so like Rudy, so Disco Godfather thinks he's like going after his aunt now, and he starts choking Stinger Ray because Stinger Ray comes into the room accidentally because he doesn't think Disco Godfather's there. He thinks he's dead or like too high on PCP to even walk.
And he starts choking him, saying like, "You're evil."
He's like, "You're evil. I hate you. I hate you." And like his cousin walks in and he's like, "You're gonna kill him." And he like gets him off. And
Well,
then,
also you forgot to mention that while he's choking him, like he does kill him, as far as I can tell.
yeah.
But the main bad guy's like face.
Oh, it turns into like a demon.
It starts like they start like doing like the like it's like hand drawn animation almost, and it gets like all his eyes get red, and like they have like these like crazy like it's almost like
Lines
fire
on his hair and
on his
shit.
hair, and
then he turns into this like demon, like cartoon demon for like 2 seconds. And
but
then
they get him off, and they're like, "It's fine, everything's
But
safe."
Disco Godfather starts choking his cousin a little bit, and he's like, "It's me, I'm out," and everything. And he's like, "No,
I'm fine. Like there's
I'm
nothing
fine."
wrong with me. And then just the movie ends with him just screaming like, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me."
Like screaming like a madman, still like whacked out of his mind on PCP, and it ends.
Movie end.
Like, damn.
End film.
Like, holy shit, that is some fucking way to end your movie. Just like your main hero, your protagonist, high as fuck on PCP, the thing he's been trying to take down the entire fucking movie, almost chokes his fucking cousin, kills the main bad guy that he didn't want to kill, and you end it with him just screaming in agony.
Yep.
Wow.
That was what they did.
That is some fucking ending. That, like, I know some of their movies we like, especially like some blaxploitation movies, they have some bleak fucking endings, like Death Force. Like, that was a bleak fucking ending because the man fucking wins. But like, man, I did not expect this movie, with how ridiculous it is, to have this kind of ending.
Well, and it's like it's a Rudy Ray Moore movie. Like,
Because I thought it would have like a kind of a feel good in it. Like they finally, like I thought they would just freeze frame on him and his like cousin like embracing or something like that.
yeah, like they got the bad guys.
Right, like it kind of a feel, like almost like a feel good ending in a way. But like,
Yeah.
no, this is not a feel good ending. The fucking hero is high on PCP and fucking screaming in pain.
Yeah. That's how they. That's after 20 minutes of absolute insanity.
Like that last 20 minutes where he's tripping balls is like, it's really well done. Like I was legitimately surprised at how entertained I was like that entire time, and kind of freaked out. Like I was like, damn, this is fucking like pretty.
Yeah, because he also sees like he sees his teacher friend too.
Oh, like holding the dead dog.
And he's like, "Thank you so much for the dog," and like just all this. There's so much imagery that they just fucking throw in there, and then it's intercut with the fucking exorcism, which
Oh, the woman is fine, by the way.
She's fine.
She like kind of snaps out of it, and she embraces her mom, and it's all fine, right?
but like you intercut with that, and then it's also intercut with his friends beating the shit out of people. It's great.
This is just an awesome movie. It's just a good movie.
It's great.
Like, after all the fucking like home movie bullshit we've gone
All the
through in
homebrew.
fucking '79, like these two movies we've watched have been like breaths of fresh air.
I know.
They're actually produced. The cameramen actually know what the fuck they're doing. Like, the cinematography's good. The locations are nice. The fucking costumes are awesome. Like, everything works.
Yeah, it's like people who know how to make a movie.
And I love this movie because it's very stylish. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it is very stylish. They didn't have to go that ham on, like, the style. But, like, it just is drenched with disco, like discotheque like era
It's so
style.
it's drenched in it.
And it's like so many scenes of like people dancing at discotheques, like really like choreographed dancing too, which is weird. There's a scene where people are
They're on like roller skates.
they're roller skating and like flipping people around and doing splits and shit, and that's
Yeah,
this
like
whole choreographed scene. Like they didn't have to do that.
they
But
didn't
like,
need to.
it's actually pretty cool. Like I don't know, like everything just works for me in this movie. It's like it's very stylistic. There's messages. It has funny action scenes. It as a whole, this movie just really works.
You know what it is?
Hmm.
It's fun.
It is fun. It's very entertaining. I barely knew it was an hour and a half.
No, it's great.
Like it did not feel that. It just breezes by.
Yeah, but trust me, by the time you get to the ending, you're like, oh, is that it? We already there?
And I didn't expect to be like have like a horror element too. It's weird. It is weird, but
Yeah.
it was welcome. Like
I
was
didn't.
just like,
I thought it was just gonna be him beating up drug dealers.
but you know what? The horror scenes also made sense to the narrative. Like there was a reason all this was happening, and like it made sense in the storylines and why they were hallucinating the things they were hallucinating. It all made sense. It all like fit together.
Well, that and I mean the horror stuff is honestly, it's probably the main reason why I like this more than Dolomite.
Yeah, like pretty well done horror stuff in like an action movie about a guy taking down drug lords.
Yeah,
Like I.e. drug lord. I shouldn't say drug lord.
single.
It's like a single drug lord. And then they have that frantic scene of them throwing away everything in the fucking plant, which was hilarious. It's just it's a ride. It's a fucking ride. You should go watch it. It's such a good it's a good watch. It really is.
It is.
Like I guarantee you'll like it. If you like Dolomite or if you like blaxploitation at all, you will like this movie. I guarantee it.
yeah. If you like any of that stuff, this is
If you like disco era, if you like the 70s at all, you'll like this movie.
Oh yeah,
It's good and has some dark elements which I really appreciated. I did not expect to see that kind of dark shit in like a Rudy Ray Moore film,
no.
but we did, and I appreciate it.
It's much appreciated.
So, Shitty to Pretty, how would you rate this? I'm gonna rate it actually pretty high. I'm surprised that I'm rating it like I don't know, like.
I mean, we always say, "Shitty Pretty's for entertainment." So
Yes.
I'm gonna say a 9.
I would say a 9, maybe almost a 10 for me.
Yeah.
Because I really like this. Like, I don't know if it's, like, enough to, like, own it. I might, actually, because it's actually really entertaining.
I mean, I almost wonder if someone made, like, a fucking Rudy Ray Moore, like, box set or something.
I don't know if you need to, like, own it. If you have a Prime subscription, like,
Well, the version that we watched is great.
It's really well done. It's, like, I think it's remastered. Because,
yeah, because
like,
it looks good.
it's not grainy. It's, like, it's perfect. Like, it's vivid. It's great. All the special effects come through really well. Nothing looks like too dated, which is awesome. Like I don't know, it just works.
It's great.
This movie is just awesome. Just fucking go watch it.
Just fucking watch it.
Like it's great. It might. I mean, depending on how many movies we have left in '79, and if they're giant shit piles, this might be best of the best. I don't know. We'll see.
It's possible.
But thank
entirely
God
possible.
we've had these two fucking movies because they're actually like entertaining.
I can't promise you that like all the remaining movies will be good.
I know the last one we're watching in '79 is gonna be
I mean,
lit.
I don't know if it's gonna be lit, but the last one, it does seem like the kind of movie that I will like. You know, I don't know about mass audiences because
Probably not.
there's a reason it's on the podcast. But for me personally, I'll probably like it.
Yeah, I think so.
The stuff before it, though, I got no guarantees.
We
for
have
you.
like a handful of movies left in '79, and then we'll move on to our favorite decade for movies.
And then we move on to
The
best.
the best decade, '80s.
And then we're just so hyped.
I am so excited. For
Even though it's
fucking 80s.
technically like 1980 might not be like full,
It's not going to be full blown yet, but at least we're starting.
but it's
right?
going to be glimmers of the shit that I fucking love.
Yes. Because I do like the '70s. I appreciate the '70s. I think it's a good, like, there's a lot of good fucking movies that came from the '70s, but like '80s, just like,
It's my aesthetic.
it's great. So yeah, go watch Disco Godfather.
Go watch this.
Just and if you haven't seen it, go watch Dolomite too. What the fuck are you doing?
I'm pretty sure Dolomite is also on Prime, so honestly, you can just have yourself a gay old time.
Rudy Ray Moore. Like I don't know. Like I this makes me want to check out his other movies. They're probably not as good, but like I still want to check them out.
Rudy Ray Moore is a fucking legend.
He really is.
Is a fucking legend.
Just the confidence and the fucking like I just love how he's like not a legitimate like big time actor.
He's not
he was
any.
like he was like, "You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to be in movies." And he did it.
He's not an actor or a fucking action star or any of these things. And it's great.
Like when you picture action stars, you would never picture Rudy Ray Moore, this like kind of blubbery like
goofball.
But I don't know, like when he's on screen, you're just like you kind of buy it. Like you're just like, all right, cool.
You know what? He forces you to buy it.
It's great.
Like it's great.
Like it's great because he's fucking breaking that mold of like what a typical action hero should be. And you know what? God damn it, I appreciate it. Okay.
Listen, Rudy Ray Moore had a dream, and he
did it.
Went for it.
It's admirable. It really is.
It's great.
I fucking love Rudy Ray Moore. I will take that to my grave.
No, this is like this shit is a great find, because if it wasn't for the podcast, I would have had zero fucking clue of who the hell this guy was.
No, and fucking goddamn it, I love Rudy Ray Moore.
And now we got a fucking Eddie Murphy movie about it that's fantastic.
Yes.
Called My Name is Dolomite, and it's like I fucking knew about Rudy Ray Moore before the goddamn movie came out. And
yes, it made it more, because if you've seen Dolomite, it makes the Dolomite is my name. It makes it more impactful.
Yeah, because we've seen it, and it's hilarious.
It is. It's great.
It's fucking hilarious.
Go watch that. Like, just have a triple feature. Go watch Dolomite, Disco Godfather, and Dolomite is my name.
Yeah, like you're gonna have a great time.
You are. You're gonna have a great time. I think that's all I have to say.
I think that's it.
Just fucking go watch Disco Godfather. It's fucking amazing.
Just fucking...
It's great.
Watch it.
It's lit. For They Mostly Come Out at Night, this has been Will.
This has been Alex.
And we will talk to you all later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.